Hundreds of children are being locked up in adult prisons across Burundi in Central Africa.
Some of these children look really young. I can see over 20 children in here.
They're forced to survive among the most dangerous criminals in the country.
From what these children are telling me, it's clear that sexual abuse is a big problem in this prison.
A failing justice system means children are jailed without trial. One man is fighting to free them.
For most of these boys, Pierre is their only hope of getting out of here.
I was about to enter the hidden world of Burundi's child prisoners. Burundi is a country recovering from years of civil war. There are nearly 400 children being held in its adult jails. 62-year-old Pierre-Claver Mbonimpa has dedicated his life to freeing them. He started a human rights organization 10 years ago to help prisoners.
We're on our way to a province called Ruyigi. It's one of the poorest parts of the country, and Pierre wants to inspect a prison there.
Bon, aujourd'hui, comme nous sommes à Ruyigi, nous allons visiter la prison de Ruyigi. Nous allons monitorer sur les enfants mineurs en prison.
There is no juvenile justice system in Burundi. Children above the age of 15 are tried as adults. By law, any child under that age should not be imprisoned.
Just walked into Ruyigi prison, and right in front of us are all of these children behind bars. You can see that some of these children look really young. I can see over 20 children in here.
The authorities are willing to let Pierre operate in their jails.
How much you got?
The children gathered to talk to Pierre. Many said they'd been locked up for months for minor offences. One had been accused of stealing a bag of rice, and another of taking a mattress. Pierre checked the prison records and found a child called Richard who'd been listed as an adult.
In his file it says he's 29 years old, and Pierre says that's ridiculous. Take a look at him. He's obviously a young child, and there's no way that this boy is even in his late teens.
Among the boys, there were several children who looked under 15. Nestor said he was 12 and had been here for 2 months.
Nestor, what's been the hardest part about being in prison for you?
The children rely on prison rations to survive and are only given 1 meal a day. Nearly all the boys' families are too poor to travel to the prison. They're left to fend for themselves. More than 3/4 of children in Burundi's prisons are being held without trial.
Do any of you have lawyers? Do you know about lawyers? I just asked these children if any of them has a lawyer, has access to a lawyer. They just looked at me blankly, and they told me they don't know what a lawyer is.
Burundi's justice system was left shattered by the war. There's no legal aid, and there are only 106 lawyers for a population of over 8 million people. This is one of the reasons children are being held for such long periods without trial.
Ça va? Oui, merci.
I arranged to meet Pierre at his home.
Désolée que encore une fois.
I wanted to know what drove him to help child prisoners. He revealed he'd once been a policeman and had been wrongfully imprisoned for 2 years.
Pierre, what was your experience in prison like?
On voyait un détenu comme un animal. Il y avait des tortures. Moi-même, j'ai été frappé quand je suis entré en prison. Et chaque fois, on restait enfermé. C'était un endroit qui était très, très, très mauvais.
During his time in jail, a child prisoner was murdered and Pierre discovered his body. The incident affected him deeply. He decided to spend the rest of his life defending victims of injustice.
Si j'ai souffert à cette époque, il ne faut pas que les autres souffrent de la même manière.
Pierre's mission is to keep track of child prisoners and help bring their cases to court. He took us to Mpimba prison, the country's most notorious jail. It houses some of the most dangerous criminals. Pierre persuaded the authorities to allow us to film his work. Mpimba was built for 800 prisoners. There are now over 3,300.
You can see just how overcrowded this prison is. All these men, there's no room to sit. There's no room to lie down. They're all standing. You can see they don't want us to film the main cells where the adults are kept.
Nearly 100 boys sleep in this one cell. They were all waiting to see him.
As soon as Pierre walked in, all these young boys crowded around him, and they're all looking at these case files that Pierre is flicking through.
He wanted to show me how many of the children had yet to be convicted.
Abataracibwa imanza
akeshi abana kare bahora baronka abavoka babo bababura.
Tous les 92 que j'ai ici, ils ont déjà dépassé les délais. Tous les 92.
Pierre was also checking for underage inmates.
Quel âge as-tu?
Fils de Nakika. Hein? Witwa nde?
Tangishaka.
Nta myaka 15 afise.
Na myaka 15 aracari muto biraboneka. Mu magistrat yamutunze ntavyigeze bamwe batuma. Aracari umwana muto. Ibintu by'umuryango byahabaye.
Reka nuzenca mbere ifibo banza nyene. Wavuze ngo hamwe umutwe yabaye.
Bamurashe ari mu buhungiro.
Claude says that he was hit in the eye by a bullet when he was very young, when his family were fleeing fighting during the Civil War.
Claude had been accused of rape. Pierre said children were often the victims of disputes between families. Many are falsely accused of crimes in order to settle scores. Pierre wanted to investigate Claude's case further. He'd been behind bars for 5 months without being tried.
Claude, what happens to children in prison?
Ariko gishika kazawumva ari nk'umuntu nyene kazawumva ngo wewe ngo tuzuranekera kazawumva ngo muga ari ibintu bacavuga ngo muga tuzuka turararana.
Pierre, how will you investigate this to see whether he is really 13?
Bon, comme il est ressortissant d'une autre province, pour voir réellement s'il a des pièces qui attestent que l'enfant a plus de 15 ans.
If Pierre can prove that Claude is under 15 years old, then he should be released immediately. We travelled to Claude's home province of Bubanza, an hour's drive from the capital. Pierre's first stop was to meet the magistrate in charge of the case. In Burundi, investigating magistrates are assigned cases by the police. They decide whether to prosecute or not.
Pierre's just met up with the observer, one of his prison observers responsible for this province. We're now entering the magistrate's office.
The magistrate, Jerome Tunzweniana, agreed to check the records. There was conflicting evidence about Claude's age.
Une confusion. D'abord, en interrogeant l'enfant, dans un premier temps, il lui a dit qu'il avait 13 ans. Et puis, dans un deuxième temps, il lui a dit qu'il avait 14 ans. Mais, comme vous voyez ici, c'est mentionné dans le rapport synthèse que l'OPG nous a donné. Il a signalé que sa mère a bel et bien précisé que l'enfant a 15 ans.
You can understand how a little boy would come in here and feel really intimidated. This is a very poor rural area we're in. A lot of people here don't know when they were born. The magistrate says that Claude doesn't have a birth certificate. He was born during the war, the Civil War here.
The magistrate revealed that hospital records showed Claude's alleged victims had in fact not been raped. He also revealed there was a feud between Claude's family and another family. Outside, Pierre told me he was going to fight to get Claude out of prison.
Mais le magistrat a dit qu'il y avait des problèmes entre les deux familles, c'est-à-dire la famille de Claude et la famille des victimes.
The magistrate had been very open with him about why he'd imprisoned Claude and the problems with the case.
Pierre says he's got serious doubts about Claude's age, but the magistrate said that he's imprisoned Claude for his own protection because there's been tension between Claude's family and the family of his alleged victims.
It seems there can be any number of reasons why children in Burundi end up in prison. The only way Pierre could prove Claude is underage was to travel to his village. He wanted to ask Claude's mother if she remembered when he was born.
Ngacasangayo umuhungu urenze wa ngaha, umuhungu wawe yitwa Claude Tangishaka Claude, namusanzeyo turavugana numva ivyiwe birateye amakenga. None wowe uribuka igihe amuvyariye ujya mwana? Uya ugereranije igihe mwahunga?
Afise imyaka 14.
Kuko nitwasanga ata myaka 15 arakwiza, hariho amategeko bikurikira.
Harakwiza uwafise 16 niwe mukuru.
Pierre also needed to establish the details of the rape allegations. He discovered that Claude had actually been accused of inappropriately touching his neighbour's children. The grandmother of one of the alleged victims was standing nearby.
Kubana neza twari twanye neza. N'uyo mwana yari umwana yitwa ati nkuwanze. Harabura uwo kwicamwe ubusinga ntahe.
The grandmother said she didn't really know what happened, but it had now become a matter of family honour.
Pierre is trying to mediate now. She said that her anger is subsiding and it sounds like she's ready to forgive.
After talking to the villagers, Pierre was hopeful that he could secure Claude's release. He left to meet with the magistrate again while we travelled back to the capital, Bujumbura. Pierre had told us there were even younger children than Claude in Mpimba prison through no fault of their own. He put us in touch with Consolata Nsengiyumva, who works with female inmates. Consolata told me that at first it was really hard gaining the women's trust.
They were very closed because they were traumatized and they didn't trust anybody.
In Mpimba, there's no separate block for women. All 108 prisoners are locked in with over 3,000 men.
You can see how the women, the children are all mixed with the adult inmates here. And you can see this is no environment for a child.
There were tiny children living in the same conditions as the adults. They were all desperate for food. Each week, Consolata hands out what she can, but it isn't enough. Consolata told me children were only given flour and beans, and that babies get nothing extra.
Consolata says nearly all of these children were born in prison. She thinks there are about 26 children. And you can see this little baby, this little girl is 2 months old, and she's got bald patches all over her head, and that's because of malnutrition.
Some of the prisoners were pregnant.
7 months?
7 months pregnant.
And 8 months.
8 months pregnant. And did they all get pregnant in prison?
Once a month, yes.
And did they all want to get pregnant?
No.
Potami Nyenderera has been in jail for 9 years. Her daughter Liesi is 2.5 years old. Potami told me that many of these women were held for years without trial.
She says that then you feel that your whole life is the prison, and at least by having a baby, they've got someone. She also says that some of the women are forced to have sex for money in order to survive, and that's how they become pregnant. Are you worried about your children being in prison? What effect do you think it has on them?
Potami was upset because her child had to grow up in prison and there was no school.
She says this is not the right environment for children. They see things they really shouldn't see.
We'd heard of other reports of abuse. We met up with Pierre again as he travelled to a prison in the country's second largest city, Gitega. One of the prison directors, Caritas Showerimana, was concerned for the safety of the children in her jail.
Il fait la cuisine de ces adultes. C'est ces adultes aussi qui les exploitent sexuellement. Il y a beaucoup de cas qui sont flagrants ici. Il y a même ces agresseurs qui sont punis. On les met dans les cachots, mais avec les 2 jours qui sont prévus par le règlement d'ordre intérieur, ce n'est pas suffisant. Et ces mineurs ont peur de dénoncer parce qu'ils sont pauvres. Ils bénéficient d'un un truc de haricots ou de farine pour s'aventurer dans ces activités.
Most of the children didn't want to speak about this, but a few of the older boys agreed to talk. They told me that when they go to the adult side of the prison, there's a threat of being raped.
Does this happen often? Is this a big problem in this prison, that the adults are taking advantage of the children?
Gabriel said adult prisoners first gain a child's trust and then they abuse them.
From what these children are telling me, it's clear that sexual abuse is a big problem in this prison. They've been saying that some children are forced to sleep with the adults in order to survive, and the adults are taking advantage of them.
Burundi's director of prisons acknowledges sex abuse of children and women in jail is a problem. He told Unreported World that a lack of resources makes it impossible to hold women and children separately. The director also admitted that under-15s are being illegally imprisoned. He blamed corrupt magistrates and policemen and a lack of proper records.
Pierre's been chasing up Claude's case today. We're going to Claude's village where Pierre's been working. We're going to try and find him and see what's been happening.
Oui.
Bonjour. Ça va?
Pierre said he had driven Jerome, the investigating magistrate, to the village as he couldn't afford the bus fare. We found him taking witness statements. This was the first time this case had been thoroughly investigated. Claude's mother, Francine, was waiting to see him.
Bonjour. Ça va? Are you hopeful he'll get released?
A few yards away, the neighbours had finished giving their testimony. They were now demanding compensation to allow Claude to return. Pierre was negotiating on Francine's behalf.
Tuvugane, tubahanure. Hanyuma indishi yoyo na sentare irashobora kuzoyica.
The magistrate has just updated Pierre on Claude's case. He says that Claude will be released, but only if Claude's mother gives the victim's family compensation. You can see she's got absolutely nothing. Don't know how she's going to be able to do that.
It was clear that it wouldn't be safe for Claude to return home. No one knew what to do with him. Whatever his crime, all agreed he wasn't old enough to be in prison. In Burundi, there are many children in Claude's position, but there are no social services to help them. If it wasn't for Pierre and his team, most would remain trapped in adult prisons, whether guilty or not. I wanted to meet Claude one last time.
Merci.
We found him on his own, wandering around the prison market.
Claude's just picked up this bar of soap and told us it costs about 20p, but he can't afford it. He was also looking at the rice, telling me that bags of rice are 50p, he can't afford that either, but he likes to come here to walk around, to look at everything.
In all the time Claude's been imprisoned, no one has come to visit him.
Claude, do you think you might spend many years in here?
Our time in the prison was up, and we were told to leave. In one of the poorest countries in the world, the authorities simply cannot afford to help child prisoners. There's no way of knowing how long Claude will be behind bars. Pierre is still fighting to get him released. If you want to find out more about child prisoners in Burundi or any other issue covered by Unreported World, please visit our website at channel4.com/unreportedworld.
Thanks for watching. Click the logo to subscribe for more award-winning documentaries from the Unreported World team. We upload videos every Sunday, keeping you up to date with content from all over the world.